Hey friends, welcome back to another Field and Garden podcast. It is your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm here with my friend Gretel Adams of Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. Hi, Gretel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, just love to have you here. And today, friends, we're going to be talking about something a little surprising, a little bit different than we sometimes do. But before we do that, if you're new here, welcome aboard. This podcast is brought to you by thegardenersworkshop.com. You can learn more about us and the work we're doing over on our website. Tons of stuff, y'all. Lots of resources. Our online course library is there, our online garden shop, as well as every other kind of support you could need. So, check it out when the need arises that you need something. And I'm just really thrilled today that Gretel was willing to come on. Gretel, along with her husband, Steve, are one of our instructors in our course, Growing Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses. It's part of our Flower Farming School series. And it's a course that explodes people's brains, right, Gretel? I mean, you guys are such great instructors and you have packed so much information. But anyway, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But I'm really happy that she's here. And today we're going to learn a little bit about some stuff we've not talked about before. And that is some of the on-farm shopping events that happen at Sunny Meadows, but more about how did you do it? When did you know was the right time? And we're just going to talk about the logistics, right, Gretel?
Yeah.
I know that you guys have a big one coming up. Do you want to just kind of tell us about what's getting ready to happen? And then we'll talk more about how those came to be.
Yeah. So we do a holiday open house every year, the first Saturday. Typically our farm stand is open Thursday, Friday, special event. And
let me stop. I'm sorry. Your internet has gone really wonky. You've frozen a couple of times.
I think it might have just switched networks. Like maybe I was on The Office and now I'm back.
That happens here too.
Yeah. And now I'm in my house. So now I'm back on the house one. So it should be good.
Okay. So why don't you just start off by me saying, why don't you tell us about it? Yeah. And start from the beginning. Okay.
So we have an event this year, Saturday, December 3rd, and it's always the first Saturday of December, which we found for us is good timing for people to buy like holiday decor. Some people are ready sooner, like right after Thanksgiving, but it sort of gives us the time to like be able to get more prepared, and captures those people who want to decorate early. So we have a farm stand on the farm that's usually open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we try and make Saturday a special event where the farm stand is typically self-serve. The Saturday event is staffed, and it started out by just needing to reach our farmers market customers outside of farmers market season. So our farmers market would typically go through the end of October, and then we would have a Thanksgiving market, or we had one market that went through that Thanksgiving market the Saturday before Thanksgiving, where we would sell some Christmas wreaths, but not everybody is ready at that point to to be buying Christmas stuff. And also like if we still have fresh flowers then, so it was kind of hard to have the time to be able to do both. So with the farm stand here on the farm, we have access to being able to still get people to come out, but we wanted to make it like a special event. So that way there was a reason for them to come. And so when we started out really small. It was in one of our heated greenhouses. We just had like a couple ladders that we would set up that had wreaths on it, some hot chocolate and stuff. I used to make soap. So we would make gift baskets with like the soap and salve and lip balm and that kind of stuff, make centerpieces and things like that, and sell those. And what it's grown into now is last year we had a coffee truck for the first time, and that worked out really well. Just sort of making it an event. So this year, the plan is we've got a coffee truck coming, and then we've also got a couple other vendors that are coming as well. There's a lady who makes like face creams and stuff, and we were going to carry her stuff in the farm stand, but the things don't like to be above 70 degrees, and it's not like a shop that's like temperature controlled, like, you know, that's air conditioned in the summer or whatever. So we're not able to like carry her stuff during the regular season. So it was kind of like an opportunity to feature some of the vendors. We've got some ceramics in the farm stand now. So we've got, well, we were hoping that vendor would come, but they got into an art show, so they're not coming. But we've got some extra, she sent us some extra inventory so we could set her up a booth. Or we had a couple girls last year that worked for us that did like botanical prints and stuff. So we sell those just to sort of have other like gift things available here. So the idea is we make as much as we possibly can. Like I said, when we started, we were just in a little corner of the heated greenhouse where we like started our seeds. Then when we built the flower barn, we would do it in there. Last year, the weather was really nice, so we were able to set up outside, which was pretty amazing, especially because of like post-COVID times. It was also like, we want all these people in our space. So this year, the plan is hopefully we'll be able to set up outside again, like we did last year. But if not, we've got the new like office barn shop space that we'll be able to put. That also is what opened up the opportunity to have other vendors, is that we do have the space to be able to have them set up if it does rain or snow or something on that day. But yeah, if we get lucky and the weather is nice, like last year, like we were just in like sweatshirts, so it was beautiful weather and we were able to set up beforehand. So we make Christmas wreaths and dried flower wreaths, and pretty much anything else that we can think of, that we can make with the product that we have. So, you know, we grow willows, so we bent the willows into like little, like just like a little mini wreath, kind of like, we call them ornaments, but just a little mini size, and then you can like glue some flower heads on them. Yeah, we were joking. We just started dried flower wreaths. This is the beginning of November. We just started dried flower wreaths last week, and the barn crew was like saying, you know, now it's like craft time is kind of what it feels like in the barn. It sort of shifts from, you know, all of our focuses on making bouquets and bouquets and bouquets, like for grocery stores and stuff. And then when we go down to just greenhouse flowers, we don't really have the volume to be making as many bouquets, which sort of frees up some of the time of the barn crew to be able to be making some of these other things. You know, we've been drying flowers all season to get ready for this. And so we just started working through, you know, every year is different, like what we end up having at the end of the year, just based on what gets dried and what comes out of the field. And so the past couple weeks have kind of been like, okay, based on what we dried, like what can we make? You know, we have some available online that are kind of like specific recipes. I mean, it says that they vary because they're all handmade, but like specific color combinations and stuff like that. So what we've been doing this past week is just sort of figuring out what of these recipes that we had last year can we recreate. And then the next step will be sort of freestyling it and just sort of like figuring out, are there other things that we can create with the stuff that we have? This year we had we had a moth outbreak in our dried flower stuff, which is the first time that that's ever happened. So we threw out a lot of inventory. So what we're encountering now is, you know, okay, well, we don't really have enough of this color to make the rainbow look that way. So we have to sort of reimagine it. And yeah, today the farm stand's full of dried flower wreaths that we've been making over the past couple of weeks, and it's pretty exciting to see like what the team has come up with.
And you know, I mean, I think something, especially for new farmers, I love that you shared that when y'all first started doing it, you were doing it in the corner of your greenhouse. For me, that in my start, I actually did it on my carport, the back of the house where we all, where we would stage all of our buckets. So you don't have to have a big fancy space, because
Yeah.
I think you'll agree, people just love coming to a flower farm, any
Yeah.
reason to
Yeah,
come, right? Um,
definitely. And
but you don't have to have fancy
like,
space.
yeah. And I think the first year we maybe only had, maybe 20, 30 people come, which was like a good start. I think last year we had probably 150 people here. So, it's grown every year, and how much we need to make in order to be prepared has also like grown every year. So
Right.
last year we had to enlist some help from some SMFF alumni to like come back and like help us get ready in time, just to make sure that we had enough quantity. Because I remember the first year that it was bigger than we expected it to be, and I was staffing it myself. And we probably had maybe 20 or 30 wreaths made, and it was a really nice day, and we just kind of got slammed, and Steve was over in the field prepping stuff, and I ended up having to call my neighbor for like emergency like help, because there was like such a long line. And so like after experiencing that one time, like we were like, okay, we need like all hands on deck, and like this is, it's like it's time to get serious about this. So I think when we started, it was probably maybe 2013 or 14 or something. And yeah, like every year we've gotten better at what we're doing too, and trying to figure out based on last year's sales kind of like what we need to make in order to prep. And
Right.
something that's been a really successful addition to the repertoire for us for the open house has been planters. So, we've got like galvanized tins that we would use for market that you would put the bouquets in, like in your display. But using those to like make planters, put soil in them, shove the branches in there, then you can put all the willows and berries and pine cones and dried flowers and stuff. So last year we sold just as many planters as we did wreaths, which was really surprising because it's been something that has sort of grown. But we try to have some sizes that are small, like kind of, you would buy for a teacher gift or for a gift exchange, something that's like in the $20-$25 range. And then it goes all the way up to something that's like $125, like something that's a really large thing that takes a lot of product. That's kind of for like, someone who has a big house. Or we make this 36-inch wreath that's like huge. By the time you make it, it's kind of as big as I am. But that has been pretty exciting because there's people who have like a gate that they want to put it on, or it goes at the peak of a church or something like that.
Wait, I want to stop you. So you said planters, but you don't mean planting plants, right? You're talking evergreens, sticks, berries.
Mm-hmm.
That just reminds me, our friend Janice Harris up in Canada. I mean, I know that she makes some small versions of those, and they sold bazillions of them last year.
Yeah.
At the end of her road, she has a little stand. And I mean, I think that's a missed opportunity for some people. So do you bring in evergreens and things, or do you cut from the farm, or where do you all get the supply of stuff for those?
So when we started, we were cutting from like around the farm because everything was really overgrown and we had the opportunity to do that. At this point, everything's sort of cleaned up. And what we've learned is that you want to use things that have good needle retention.
Yes.
So in the Christmas tree industry, they've learned a lot in all these years. And so we work with a Christmas tree farm. Well, we used to work with one in Ohio, but right now in the Christmas tree industry in general, supply and demand is crazy. It takes 8 years to grow a Christmas tree from like sapling to tree size. And so I think it's just been hard for them to keep up with demand. So now we actually drive to Pennsylvania to another Christmas tree farm to buy, when they cut their Christmas trees, they usually cut the bottom, 3 or 4 sections
They
off of
strip
it.
it basically.
Yeah. So what we're buying is called like brush, but it's like, or we buy the Christmas trees that are like the number 2s and number 3s. So basically like the Charlie Brown trees, and then and then we cut them up and use them. So it's a lot of work to still like get everything cut to size. And what we're experiencing this year is we dug all our dahlia tubers and put those in the cooler, and then we got all our Christmas greens, we put those in a cooler, and now it's like, well, our mums are coming on. We need to harvest like winterberry and willows and stuff, where it's like we've just got this crunch happening where there's things in the cooler that are going to be in there for a long time, and just trying to figure out what gets priority in that space. So yeah, things like Fraser fir or whatever fir that the tree farmers are using now. I think there's like Canaan and Con Color. There's a few other ones that are coming out now. Things you want to avoid are white pine and blue spruce, which for us, that's what was the most abundant around here. Hemlock, those are all things that tend to drop their needles. So especially if you're going to start making Christmas stuff now, you want to make sure that they're not going to shed in somebody's house if you sell it to them. So I know in the beginning, we definitely had a learning curve of making some things that we sold to a shop who put them up, and then, you know, the blue spruce kind of like shed everywhere, and we lost that customer. So there's definitely a learning curve in the process of figuring out what worked and didn't work.
So, all right. So that's just a great tip. I mean, it's just like learning what stage to cut a flower to get the best vase life. That extends to greens, and don't shoot yourself in the foot. So you mentioned that you're going to have some other vendors there, but when you all were first starting, it was just you guys. And then as you've grown into a bigger space, so you actually have a dedicated farm stand building, right? Where you keep stocked all through the season. People drop in where it's not manned, it's an honor system, right? And so now for this special event, your holiday open house, you're going big, and you bring in a lot of extra stuff. Is that what you're
so we'll have, I mean, everybody that's on staff will be here, because we pre-make as much as we can, but then we also will have like a customization station is what we call it, where people can basically, we make what we think people are going to want, but then they have the ability to, add magnolia to this, or I like that one, but I need 3 of them because they're going to go on my windows and I need them all to match, or I want to add like a big fancy bow or something. So most of ours, the style is more natural with like pine cones and berries and twigs and things like that. But at the like customization station, if they want to add a bow or something else like fancy, you can get as like glittery and glamorous as you want, as far as like how many ornaments you use or like glittery sticks.
right?
It just up to your style and what your customers want. But for us, what we try to make is the stuff that, you know, has dried flowers in it, or we grow a lot of winterberry and willow. So that's kind of our opportunity to sell those things. So we have one wreath that has like eucalyptus, magnolia, and winterberry in it, and that tends to be the like best seller. So that one we definitely make as many as we can, and we harvest grapevines from around the farm and make some grapevine bases. So there are some that are, you know, not a full wreath design, kind of those like asymmetrical ones. So yeah, we try and have a little bit of everything. But we know that some people do like that traditional Christmas look. So I'll usually make some bows if someone wants to add them. The garlands we usually do to order, just because it's hard to like know exactly what somebody would want in them or how big they would want them.
Right.
So we've done some pre-made, but they don't usually sell. So that we kind of leave to, if somebody wants one, we'll make it. But
so tell us, for some flower farmers out there that are trying to decide if they want to do this, What are some things that you think about? I made my own little list here. I mean, your insurance, do you have to have bathrooms? What do you do about
Mhm.
parking? Talk a little bit about those things, and if there's any others that you have to really think about before you decide to do this.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely the three things that you mentioned. Also, if your plan is to do it outside, sort of like having a rain plan or snow plan, depending on where you're at and what time of season you do it. But and just making sure that you do have, I know that it's kind of like the farmers market where someone doesn't necessarily want to buy the last of something that's
Right.
available. So like making sure that the display like looks full enough and that you have enough like inventory can be a challenge. I mean, we created a Facebook event and then had people RSVP to that, which has typically worked for us. But this year we had I think last year we had 150 people come, and there were, I think, maybe 300 people that said they were interested on Facebook. So that's, about half. This year we started promoting it earlier, and right now there's like 900 people that said that they're interested. So what
Woohoo!
we did was we made it like an Eventbrite, like made it like a ticket.
Right.
The ticket is free, just to try to give you an idea of like how many people are actually going to come, because that's what we were like, do we need to make it like a multiple day event? Like, how would we even park that many people here? So yeah, I think just like thinking about like the flow for us, before we had the space that we have now, we have with a flower processing barn where we would set it up, and we would take the carts that we would usually have flowers on and hang tablecloths on them, and then attach the wreaths to that, and then use those carts basically as a way to like cover up all our mess. So like cover up where like the shelves are that you keep all the sleeves, and like, so the it takes some work for the space to sort of get a presto changeo, like,
Right,
because you
right.
want it to look, you want people to have sort of like a circle where they can walk through, and yeah, like have a flow, have a checkout station. So it used to just be sort of free for all, kind of like, at the farmers market where each person would have like cash in their pocket or have a square on
Right.
the phone or whatever. And so sort of organizing the people where there's an actual like checkout station really helped, especially if there's like people waiting for you to custom do something, they can kind of check out and then sort of stand off to the side, just to allow for like more people to like sort of flow through. So, and the dried flowers, sometimes dried flower bunches will all blow over, especially if you're outside. So that's another challenge that we've had, is just like if it's windy, having to put rocks in the bottom or something like that, just to try to figure out how things are not going to like blow away.
Nothing is as simple as it seems, right? And
Yeah.
don't we want also for people to have a good experience, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you want them to come back next year, even let's just say you sell out of something. Um, you you really want them to have a good experience when they're there. So putting a little
Yeah.
thought in, and I totally second your having enough help. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess if it was my first year, I would probably, and you have no idea who's coming.
Mhm.
I understand not wanting the expense of having an add-on, but we all have family, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
That you can rope somebody in to come and
Yeah.
be there, to kind of figure out what you're doing. And I think it's a great idea, about making it an Everbright or whatever that's called, where the people have to get a
Yeah.
ticket to come. Even though it's free, you have to have that idea.
And if you're
So
starting, I would maybe put out snacks and like hot cider or hot chocolate or something,
yeah.
just so that way, like if it happens to be that you do have a line, then people can kind of hang out and eat cheese and crackers while they're waiting on you.
I think snacks are a great idea, Gretel. I did that, but I can remember now that you say that, I can remember when we would have open houses. It's just a great way to help people have a good experience.
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
having
and they
enough
can kind
help.
of chat amongst themselves too while they're waiting and, figure that out. So,
Yeah. So tell us, let's do some real talk here. Any pitfalls or struggles related to having on-farm events that you have overcome, or you'd be willing to mention, something that's like, you never even thought about this, but
yeah, I mean, I think as far as parking goes, like
mm,
just thinking about the flow of traffic, like we have had events where people do not realize how to drive on a farm, like that you need to stay on the road and that there's like,
right.
stumps or like mud, things like that. So it's like even with our signage and like people, start to drive down the farm road, even though it says parking or it says like only farm vehicles beyond this point. Yeah, we had a lady back into a tree. We've had a lady get so stuck in the mud, even AAA couldn't get her out that day. Like, I don't know how she actually got like where she was in the yard, but they tried to pull her out and like busted her tire. And so we ended up having to like pay for that. So just thinking about like understanding that people are gonna need assistance in that way,
Yes.
and they're not gonna be able to figure it out, and they're not used to driving on the road. Like this lady had heels on. I had to give her my boots just so she could like get out of the car to get out of the mud puddle that she was stuck in. Um,
And
so
I
just
think,
thinking about some of the things like that, like they're gonna drive for us, we're close to the city. So some of our best customers are people that drive pretty fancy cars,
yeah.
so like if it's muddy and they're having a hard time getting around, like, that's why every year there's money for gravel in the budget just to like try and make the situation easier for people to get around here.
And, I think the one thing that it's so hard for us to understand, and it's all our fault. Do you know what I mean? It's all I mean, we're hosting it. You are
Mhm.
opening the gates
Mhm.
and you have to provide the best, safest. I mean, all the problems, like you paid to have her tire fixed. That's normal, standard
Yeah.
operating procedure. So there are some pitfalls that you have to consider. And but I think overall, we've never said we don't want to do it again, right? And y'all are continuing to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, we used to have classes on the farm. That is something that we cut out. When the farm stand was open, people used to be able to walk around and like see the place. That's something else that we've cut out. So it's like the open house is sort of for us the opportunity to kind of like open it up and make it a thing and like have everybody here. For the people who are like, do you have a farm tour? It's like, no, but you can come and like sort
Right.
of be a part of the farm experience in the barn that is the production barn. And yeah, so that's kind of now is the most open that the farm like is for people to sort of see our space. So
Yeah, that's a good point. We used to do an open farm once a year for that very reason, to be able to say, because you get asked, I like you, I'm in this, you're near the city, I'm in the city, to provide that one time that you
mhm.
do open the gates, but there is a lot of prep and consideration. Well, Gretel, thank you so much for sharing with us about your open holiday open farm and what you guys do. And I just think it plants seeds in everybody's mind of potential things to do. And there's still hiccups, y'all, even for seasoned people like Gretel that's still doing it. So friends, I want to also remind you that Gretel and Steve's course opens for enrollment once a year. It's typically near the end of November. And this year it is November 19th through the 23rd. And it is growing cut flower crops in hoop and greenhouses. And Gretel, tell us kind of what's covered in those courses in your course.
Yeah, so week 1 we talk about choosing greenhouse like location and type and just sort of like what works for you and what you're looking for in the production. Week 2 we talk about making sure that the most profitable crops are in there, so it's a little bit about enterprise budgets and like crop planning. Week 3 is about ranunculus and anemones and all the other spring crops. So that's the stuff that everybody loves to learn about, because I think that that's where a lot of people start with their season extension. Week 4 is about summer and fall and kind of extending the season and using that space in the summer. Week 5 is about greenhouse management. So basically just like ventilation, condensation, and then that sort of leads into week 6 of like the pest and disease part of it. So, everything that we talk about are things that we've learned through our processes. And we're zone 6A, but things can be adapted to your zone just depending on where you are as far as like week numbers go. And we talk about things that are both beginner and advanced. So, if you're just starting out, then we will say, if you're just starting out, here's the few, transplant weeks that I would start out with. Or if you're more advanced or you have heated space, then, here are the ones that you could add to extend it even further. So it kind of is to appeal to all the different levels. And then also having access to it forever, you can always learn the beginner stuff and then come back to it once you've experienced it, or also like use it as a reference if you have a pest or you have a disease that you need to like look up or figure out once you're further into your experience.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we have learned, we're now in year 5 of producing these big school courses. And what we know is that most students use their course more after school than they do during the live school. And that has led us to just come up with more tools for people to do what she was just speaking of, like to reference, hey, I know that she talked about XYZ, or I see it in the syllabus. We are time stamping the courses so that means we're creating yet another layer of the syllabus, where that syllabus that talks about a session, it's going to tell you all the subjects and at what minute, so you can go right in and go right to that section if you have a specific question. And when Gretel and Steve's course launches in January, that timestamp will be in their course. That means all their previous students will have access to it in January, as well as all of their new students. And we're already hearing, my course has been timestamped, Dave's course is timestamped, and people are talking about how it's like such an easy reference tool. I think Gretel and Steve's course, more than anybody else's, has so much technical information that helps you to be successful. This is going to be just paramount to help people really excel at this. So their course is $595. There is a payment plan if that would help you out. Registration opens from the 19th to the 23rd of November. School starts in January. And friends, if you are considering a house or adding a structure, or you already have them, this is the course for you. I can tell you that hands down. You can go over to their reviews on their course page. There'll be links to all of that below the show notes. And Gretel, thank you so much for joining me here and talking about beyond your course, all this other good stuff that you guys are doing. All right, friends.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Friends, you can learn more about Gretel and Steve, as well as our other flower-based business schools over at thegardenersworkshop.com. And friends, if you're enjoying this podcast, please drop a review. That helps your podcast supplier to show it to more browsers. And we appreciate that much, so very, very much. So till we meet again, friends. Bye, Gretel. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao. Hey, friends, I just want to share some customer review submissions about Steve and Gretel Adams of Sunny Meadow Flower Farm's course, Growing Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses. This is what A&D Turner had to say. I love this course. I'm a total beginner and just set up a brand new high tunnel. Now what? I was so overwhelmed, and this course was perfect. I only wished I had taken it before I set up my system. But no worries, there are many right ways, many ways were discussed, and I now have ideas for future plans. So the course gave me so much more knowledge than I expected, everything from start to production. Every question I asked was answered in the live chat. I had to miss one of the live chats, but it's available now for viewing. I loved being able to do the coursework as I had time. I love that I can go back and view the videos anytime. I appreciate learning from growers who have had experience and basically gave me all of the knowledge, tips, and tricks to succeed. And friends, this is kind of what we're hearing over and over again. Check out Steve and Gretel's course, Growing Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses.